Hello! A new video is in the works, a critical analysis of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And as you can probably tell from the title of this video, it's quite the positive analysis. Once completed, the video will go up as planned, but it's taking longer to put together than I originally estimated. A lot longer. So, I've decided to release the video in sections. This will provide my viewers with content, will hopefully keep the channel alive during the editing process, and will prime everyone as to what to expect from the full video prior to release. Keep in mind that these were meant to be part of a single whole, so there will be incomplete analyses and a lack of conclusions in some parts. Once the full video is out, there will be follow-up videos inspired by it, including another Godzilla vs. Kong analysis. Yay! And one last thing. This introduction will be at the start of each video, so if you want to skip it next time, slide on over to this time here. Right, all that said, I hope you enjoy this section of what will become Godzilla, King of the Monsters. A great joy. The world building is rich and fertile, allowing for not only a fantastic story here, but in the future. It's been 5 years since Godzilla defeated the Mutos, 5 years since Monarch was swept up by a vastly more powerful military force. Now Monarch is recognized worldwide with bases on every continent, filled with technological advancements that don't go beyond the scope of reason and reality, yet make it feel so much greater than before. Thanks to San Francisco, Monarch is powerful enough to politically stand toe-to-toe with the military force that once pocketed it. No longer does it piggyback on other people's expeditions nor wait for titans to poke their heads out of the ground. Monarch actively seeks out the creatures, being proactive rather than reactive. All of this is not only a canvas on which to place a story, but is an essential core of the narrative as well. Monarch aren't the only ones getting more world building. King of the Monsters introduces the idea of ancient human worship of the titans. Temples, artwork, even prehistoric cities, all based around these giant creatures. But the idea of titans appearing throughout history wasn't a new one. Indeed, this was hinted at in the credits of the 2014 film. However, King of the Monsters runs with the idea, making studying history part of the search for the creatures. It seems only natural then that some of the old gods were, in fact, ancient titans. But the deification of the titans doesn't stop at merely world building. The way the titans are visualized throughout the film and the way they are treated by the characters gives them an air of divinity, or the opposite. And in the presence of titans, humans are most often subject to their wills, be they justly, kindly, uncaring, or spiteful. I already mentioned how the events from Mothra's arrival at Fort Bravo to the nuclear explosion in the Hollow Earth had a religious feel to them. As it turns out, the entire film is a depiction of a religious event. Several, in fact. Godzilla is the misunderstood protector trying to do the right thing even as the authorities call for his demise. When facing his greatest challenge, he is betrayed and killed by those he is trying to save, only for an angelic figure to reveal he is not dead and will rise again. If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, in King of the Monsters, Godzilla is a Jesus allegory. If you think it's a bit of a stretch to compare a giant monster to Jesus Christ, then you haven't been around giant monster films all that much. But this is only one part of the film. The conflict between Godzilla and Ghidorah is a direct translation of the Chaos Camp. If you've never heard of the Chaos Camp, think of Zeus versus Typhon, of Thor versus Jormungandr, of, well, this lot. Throughout history, going back thousands of years, the story of the Chaos Camp has been told over and over again in many places around the world. The exact details change, but the story is usually about the battle of order versus chaos. The god who wields lightning and storm, defending the cosmos against the writhing serpent rising from the depths of the dark oceans or the deep places of the earth. In King of the Monsters we see this very same fight play out, with some twists in the tale that make this seem all the more deliberate. Godzilla, defender of the natural order, is the dragon of sea and earth. Ghidra, bringer of chaos and destruction, is the god of the sky and lightning. The roles appear deliberately reversed, but then these character traits have been with these monsters for decades, so the comparison to the Chaos Camp might just have been coincidence. Except that King of the Monsters gives Ghidra the ability to summon storms. Add this new ability to everything else, and it's hard to miss the comparison, especially in conjunction with my next point. One religious text that used the Chaos Camp was the Book of Revelations. Specific details from this and from earlier in the Bible match up quite nicely with King of the Monsters. The Leviathan, a giant serpent-like creature, is defeated by Yahweh in the Old Testament, but is said to reappear during Armageddon, his many heads crowned with many diadems. Similarly, Ghidra was defeated by Godzilla long ago, only to re-emerge for another fight. He is even referred to as
a false king,
as well as
the one who's many.
Invoking Legion, which is not the only reference to the demonic in this film.
Rodan, the fire demon.
That's comforting.
With the imagery of Rodan bowing to Ghidra, the multi-headed serpent king, this would make them the devil and his demon, paralleled nicely by Godzilla and Mothra as Yahweh and his angel. Even the way Godzilla kills Ghidra is reminiscent of not only the biblical texts, but many of the Chaos Camp stories. The God of Order crushing the Snake of Chaos. Beyond religious invocations, King of the Monsters uses some quite intricate storytelling. There are 3 narratives running at any given time: the good, the bad, and those in between. For the human characters, we have Monarch representing the good, the eco-terrorists representing the bad, and Mark Russell representing the in-between. For the monsters, we have Godzilla as the good, Ghidra as the bad, and the government as the in-between, because we all know governments can be monsters sometimes. In this respect, there is actually what is known as a doubled narrative tripling, with the Titans leading the action and humans acting as mouthpieces. Godzilla wants to save the world, Ghidra wants to destroy it, and the government wants to save the world by destroying something. The actions of these monsters are then represented and bolstered by their human counterparts. This is especially noticeable with Mark Russell, who at the start of King of the Monsters wants the Titans dead, just like the government, but by the end of the film is working with them, just like the government. You can even see this relationship in the way he talks to the different parties.
About to launch a joint operation.
I wouldn't bother.
Excuse me, do you have something to add?
If I may, sir.
And as I mentioned before, as the film progresses,
Serizawa, let him fight action.
No, this time we join the fight.
Monarch works to stop the terrorists as Godzilla battles against Ghidra, but is almost taken over by the military after Godzilla is almost killed by the oxygen destroyer. And Monarch leads the attack on Ghidra until Godzilla returns to win the day. Alan Jonah and his terrorist cohorts work towards establishing the natural order, whilst Ghidra is seen as just one more Titan. But as Ghidra begins to destroy the world, Jonah reveals he is more than happy to let it happen. The only thing really missing from King of the Monsters in this regard is the presence of the eco-terrorists at the Boston battle, perhaps trying to keep the orca out of Monarch's hands as Goji and Ghidra rage overhead. But there is a character missing from this analysis, as well as a few monsters to boot. Where does Emma Russell, Mothra, and Rodan fit into all this? The answer is more complicated and interesting than you might imagine. As the film progresses, Emma switches sides twice, going from Monarch to Alan Jonah and back again. As her choices take root, so too do Mothra and Rodan do their parts. At the start of the film, right after Emma is introduced, Mothra births from her egg. When Emma is kidnapped / goes with Jonah, Mothra goes into hiding. When Emma reveals she is working with the terrorists, Rodan crawls out of his hiding place. As Ghidra begins to wreck the planet, Emma submits to Jonah's judgment about not doing anything about it, just as Rodan bows to the false king. We even get this visual to cement the comparison. Mothra emerges from her cocoon about the same time as Madison is enacting Emma's plan. After Emma has pulled a gun on Jonah and has set off to save her daughter, the fire demon and the queen of the monsters come into conflict. Mothra defeats Rodan as Emma embraces her family. And if all this didn't convince you, there is one final parallel that is undeniable. Mothra dies defending Godzilla against Ghidorah, buying him time to recover. Minutes later, Emma is doing the exact same thing. But Rodan survives. Emma is dead, but her bad monster self is still going. Yes, he is, just like the effects of Emma's actions are still being felt. The Titans are awake and roaming the earth, affecting change around the globe. So too is Rodan still around, but submissive to Godzilla and the natural order, as Emma should have been. Whether consciously or unconsciously, these human Titan representations help to convey what is happening in King of the Monsters. And whether deliberately or not, this works against the argument for a monster-only film, something that is often requested by audiences. One of the biggest arguments against a Godzilla film without people is communication. The less conduits for information that are at hand, the simpler a story's narrative will have to be, and or the more will be lost in translation. King of the Monsters shows that people are not only able to be used to make a monster film better, but are vital for getting ideas across to an audience. But that's not to say that there aren't stories that can't be told without the need of human go-betweens. In fact, King of the Monsters might have another story lurking beneath the surface, happening in spite of the human cast. Thank you for watching this part of Godzilla King of the Monsters, a great joy. Videos will follow on a, hopefully, regular basis until the video is out, so look forward to those. Whilst you're waiting, why not visit my Etsy store and peruse some esoteric pendants, link in the description. Feel free to do all the YouTube stuffs and leave a comment if you have one. Who knows, maybe you'll have an effect on the finished video before it's released. Once again, thank you for watching.